Mainstream media branding him as a threat to democracy, calling him vile names. They only fueling a toxic atmosphere and giving power all of these people that they want to do harm to him. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. The country needs to unite.
Okay, so wait till you hear this story. The View spazzes out on Melania Trump. Yes, they attack her, they mock her, and they demean her as she sat down for an interview with Fox News. Now, the last time she did an interview was in 2022, to my understanding. And what we're going to do is react to the interview and The View's reaction to the interview and set these ladies straight. Let's first start with probably the most obvious thing that we'd love to hear Melania Trump talk about, which was the attempted assassination on her husband, Donald Trump. Watch.
The assassination attempts, the first one is in Butler, Pennsylvania. And you write about watching the assassination attempt on TV. And you started working and you were distracted, so you pushed pause. I think your chief of staff maybe called you and said, he's okay, but there's been a shooting. What happened next?
I ran to the TV and I rewinded and I watched it. I was only a few minutes behind. And something, I guess, looked over me. So I didn't really see live, but maybe, 3 minutes, few minutes later. But when I saw it, it was only, nobody really knew yet. Right. Because when you see him on the floor and you don't know what really happened.
So you called him and he didn't answer his phone and you called Secret Service. Mm-hmm. And what did they say?
First, the Secret Service was not available too because they were with him, right? And then after that, I got the Secret Service on the phone and they said that he's okay. We are on the way to the hospital. He will be okay.
So what is your impression when you hear Melania Trump speak and her image that she portrays? What comes to my mind is first class, especially as a former first lady. She fits into that mold very perfectly. I think she represents first ladies very nicely. Now, obviously, we have people in this world who don't buy into that mindset, unfortunately, because they are delusional, because they let their Trump derangement syndrome prevent them from exercising some humility or seeing Melania Trump as a human, as a wife, as a mother. Hearing her describe that assassination attempt was pretty crazy. And it even reminds me, I didn't even believe it when I first saw it. I didn't even know what the heck was going on. But I digress. Let's also hear about the FBI raid and what her thoughts were about that.
The raid on Mar-a-Lago, the house manager texts you and says the FBI is outside the house. They had access to my bedroom, closets, office, and rummaged through my personal items. Even searched Barron's room, you say. So how invasive was that? Did it make you angry? How did you feel?
Yeah, it made me angry. Yes, invasion of privacy, and the way it was done I was really surprised.
You wanted to see it for your own eyes. With your own eyes, what did it look like when you walked back in your house that had been raided?
I saw unpleasant stuff that nobody wants to see it, and you get angry because nobody should be putting up with that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Some person, I don't even know who or how many people, they went through my stuff.
Now, obviously, that's a response that we all would expect anyone to say. I would say it. You'd probably say it. And we know that the raid on Mar-a-Lago was politically driven. Why do we say that it was politically motivated? It's the leadership who obviously is running the FBI, who is influenced by the White House. That's who we should really direct our frustration towards. And so it's just unfortunate that she had to experience that as a first lady, especially because Joe Biden didn't have to experience that, which I thought was interesting. But anyways, let's get to probably the most profound thing that she said in this entire interview that I got a really good kick out of. And it's a perfect segue into what The View ends up reacting to.
Mainstream media branding him as a threat to democracy, calling him vile names. They only fueling a toxic atmosphere and giving power all of these people that they want to do harm to him. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. The country needs to unite. And I encourage everybody to read my letter that I wrote on July 14 again, because that cannot continue.
Letter was very powerful. What made you get to the point of writing that letter?
That's how I felt. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt.
How do you feel when people say they don't like him? What do you wish they knew about him?
That he is really a family man. He loves his family. He loves this country. And all he wants to build better and prosperous.
Yeah, he's just strong. He's not afraid to
No, he's not
talk
strong.
about the way
you
it
could
really
see
is.
the way he was when he was shot, that in the ear, that the way he stood up and he said, fight, 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 because we cannot allow that to happen.
Okay, so those are just a few highlights from the interview. Again, I think Melania Trump is a class act. I don't think as far as politics go, they should be really attacking her. I mean, you could attack Trump all day. That's fine. But once you start to go after his family when there isn't really any basis to do so, I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Joe Biden's son, clearly Hunter, is, he was a drug addict. He illegally purchased a firearm. He took money from Ukraine and didn't really do anything. Those are some bases to criticize Hunter Biden on. What can you truly criticize Melania Trump on? There is nothing. She's been professional class act the entire time as First Lady. So trying to explain that, of course, to people who have Trump derangement syndrome is, almost impossible, which leads me to the reaction that The View had when she sat down for this interview. Let's take a look.
I think when you hear Doug Emhoff, the vice president's, husband, speak about their relationship, I think it's very touching. He is behind her 100%. He's very loving. He spoke at the DNC, and I think he described a person that people wanted to know more about in person. I'm reluctant to comment on other people's marriages because I don't want anybody to comment on mine. But they've been married 19 years. And in my experience, people that have been married that long are not necessarily polar opposites, right? They have a lot of commonality. And so I think these two are simpatico. I remember that when Joy interviewed Melania on her show in 2011, she backed her husband's birther claims.
That's right.
That
was on your show.
That was on her show. She questioned Barack Obama's citizenship.
A show that they took away from me.
Yeah, let's stop here, okay? Because I have some notes I want to go over with you guys about this freaking show. It's called Double Standard, right? So when a liberal figure like Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton come on, they are protected from criticism. Melania is relentlessly attacked for trivial or political reasons, right? And so obviously they didn't even acknowledge anything positive about Melania Trump. They didn't even say, you know what? It's really good to hear from a former First Lady. Clearly, she is a class act. She has kept herself together. It's great the way that she wrote that letter in response to the first assassination attempt. They didn't say any of that. This is how despicable these women are, which leads me to my second thing about them. I find it interesting that a TV show that all of the co-hosts are women who get on to the show and cry that women need to be respected and women should feel empowered and encouraged to do great things. I find it's just hypocritical the way that they attack her and mock her. It's laughable. I think it's unbecoming. Listen, it's politics. And I understand that The View is really evil. And I know they're going to attack Trump. That's great. You could attack his sons. Fine. I'll give you that. But when you start going after his wife, For example, I don't talk about Kamala Harris's husband. I don't talk about Joe Biden's wife because at the end of the day, there's no reason to, right? My beef isn't with Joe Biden. My beef is not with Kamala Harris's husband, and their beef should not be with Melania Trump.
Yesterday was Barbara Walters' birthday, I believe.
Yes.
And when I was watching this, I thought if Barbara were here today, she would have said to her, Melania, your husband had sex with a porn star while you were home with a baby.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
That's what Barbara would have done. This woman, nothing. This was the most softball thing, the most softball hostage video I've ever seen.
Well, that's probably why they were able to book the interview, because she does have a book coming out. And if this is Donald Trump's way of reaching women, he might want to try another route. I don't even say that with a lot of shade. Mm-hmm.
There's two women in this world with the first name of Joy, and both of them are evil. One's on The View, and the other one's on MSNBC. I find that ironic. But I digress. I just find them to be vile and sick in the way that she just commented on the interview. I mean, it's a double standard. So you go that hard on Melania Trump, but you don't go hard on Kamala Harris and her softball interviews. You don't go hard on Joe Biden, who literally his body is here, but mentally he's not here, right? You don't do any of that. In the history books, when they look back on this show 100 years from now, no one's going to remember these women, because they're not doing anything to truly further society. This is a virus today.
When you love someone, you're there for them, not because they asked you to be there. You wouldn't be anywhere else. Dr. Biden shows up on surprising the president yesterday because she had to be there. Mm-hmm. All these other spouses, even Usha Vance, how you say her name, she keeps doing all these events. That's where you go when your person is pursuing their dream. Yeah. We haven't seen her, and her description of Donald Trump doesn't track with the reality of what we've seen. And I can't relate to the marriage or if they're even in the same place at the same time. So I don't think that's the way.
The delusion of saying that he has kindness in his heart. He's so mean.
Joy, she called him positive.
He's the meanest president we've ever had. And I was around when Nixon was here.
He does like to DJ. That was true.
He is
Can
mean.
Let's show to him.
He's mean to the Haitians. He's mean to women. He's mean to immigrants.
Everybody.
He's mean to everybody.
But he's not mean to Melania.
Oh, but I don't.
I don't know if he sees her or not.
I did good interview. Please don't bury me on golf course.
Yeah, you guys understand that when I do these videos, I never set out to truly attack like at the human being level, right? That's why I always tell you guys, I don't hate Kamala Harris. I don't hate Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi. But I will criticize them because I don't think they are great for this country. In fact, I think they're the worst thing for this country. But I'm not going to go to the level of that, right? And that's what's wrong with the country is they cross a certain line. They think just because Donald Trump speaks his mind and he's out there campaigning, and when you're campaigning politically, you're always going to say things that could be looked at as divisive. Both sides do that. But these are individuals who have a huge platform that could be part of the reason why the rhetoric gets toned down quite a bit. No, they are the people who amplify the political rhetoric and turn it into something very personal for people. That's where I have a problem with people like her. So there's that. Now, the other thing is about why haven't we seen Melania Trump? I got two answers for you, and I wish people were more honest about this. Number one, when your personal life has been put on the front page of newspapers about an affair, I wouldn't expect to see you anywhere either. I'd expect you to be with your son who's still in high school and doing what you're supposed to do as a mother. And so I give her grace on that. Donald Trump is the most persecuted political figure in history. Besides maybe Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln didn't have social media or the internet back then, right? So the bottom line is I wouldn't expect to see her that much either. So to wrap up this video, there are really three things that are true. The View, they will always be hypocritical. They have Trump derangement syndrome to the max. I think Sunny Holston and Joy Behar, they're just terrible. They're just terrible people in the way that they speak about others. And then number two is they would never talk about Hillary Clinton or Michelle Obama that way. They would never do that. And again, that speaks to the hypocrisy. And so they have zero credibility. You know, that's just what it is for me. And then the third thing is results. You can criticize Donald Trump all you want, but you can't criticize Melania Trump. As a first lady, she was impeccable. I mean, she was spot on. She's what you would want in a first lady. So, you know, a part of me just prays for that TV show and the women on that TV show, because I think they need Jesus, and I think they need Jesus really bad. Because, you know, attacking Melania Trump, I just think that is just, it's below them already. They're really the lowest of low, but I think that's as low as you can get, in my opinion. So what do you guys think about Melania Trump doing the interview, her new book? What do you guys think about The View and how they reacted to this? I'd like to know what your guys' thoughts are and more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.